Hey guys, so my name is Danijel Velicki. I am Croatian. I came to the United States as a foreign exchange student, and I never changed my name to something more American. So this is my second language, so I screw up, just go with it. You can make fun, he always does. My daughter is Maya with a J, Major, pretty much, poor thing. But I had to continue the J thing just to mess everybody up. I've been doing financial stuff for 19 years now, and Eric contacted me and was like, hey, we've been friends probably 10 years, and he was like, hey, your industry is really jacked up when it comes to marketing and talking about what you do, and you can't say anything. Would you mind speaking about how you were able to build a really successful business here in Hampton Roads without really being able to say shit? I was like, well, I can do that. A little bit about me. I own Opus Wealth Strategies. I started in the business, financial planning, investments, insurance, all that crap, 19 years ago. I was 22. And I don't know if anybody knows about the financial industry, but when you show up at any firm, they hand you a Project 100 to fill out. It's a booklet, and you write down all the names of all the friends and people and everything else that you know, because those are going to be people that you're going to be bugging the shit out of first. I came from Croatia as an 18-year-old with nothing, went to West Virginia, paid for my school, met my wife, we moved here in 2000. When I turned in my book, I had 20 names and I made up 6. So they looked at me and they were like, you can't do this, you're kind of goofy. I was like 170 pounds, about 50 pounds ago. You look funny, you speak funny, like you don't know anybody, like you probably should just go and work at 7-Eleven or something. And I was like, funny, I did work at 7-Eleven. But I was extremely excited about helping people, and I found a firm that really did that. I started up in Pittsburgh talking to Merrill Lynch's, UBS's, because I wanted to be a doctor when I came here. I was helped so much in college. I wanted to really, really make an impact, but I don't know, any doctors here? Do you know how much it costs and how much they don't give money to foreign exchange students and how long it takes? Obviously, I couldn't do that. My mom was a retail worker. My dad was an auto mechanic. So I was like, okay, what's the second most important thing that matters to people, which is money, and money can cause bad health. I was like, okay, I'll do that crap. I started interviewing, and everybody told me what I'm going to sell and how much money I'm going to make and who I'm going to bug, and here's the yellow pages, and I was like, I don't want this. So we actually moved here, and I took a job with 7-Eleven as a management consultant. Found a guy I played basketball with. He brought me into business, and there was a lady named Debbie that bet on me and said, hey, there's something about this kid, we're going to give him a shot. So my first year, I was the top agent out of 27 that were recruited. Now mind you, that was also before LinkedIn, before Facebook, before all that stuff. So good old-fashioned marketing, and any of you old people remember, was like you actually had to go out and talk to people and tell them how great you are and give out your cards and hope that somebody calls you. I did that. I had an amazing mentor who said, listen, you don't know shit. You're not a financial person. You are a marketing associate. You talk about the firm, you talk about how we help, we talk about all this stuff, but find 2 to 3 places to go to every week where people gather, and you can shake hands and get somebody's card, because if you get somebody's card, you're under control of the relationship. And then call them, send them a little thank you note, ask them for a cup of coffee next week, and share about what you guys do. That's what I did. I'm the stupid smart guy. Just tell me what to do. I can start any industry tomorrow and just teach me, and I'll do it. I'll run through a wall, but I'll figure it out. So when I came to, so there's pictures of awesome Croatia. Anybody been to Croatia? Heard about Croatia? All right. It's stupid pretty. There's a lot of pretty people that come out of there. So most of the time when I come here, people are like, why did you leave? You guys understand that we live in the best country in the world, right? And the most amazing part about this country is that a little foreign, weird dude can build what I built by myself with nobody here, with my family being 20,000 miles away, just because I work harder than anybody else. What I built is a business that I saw would help people. And I don't know if anybody's ever worked with Northwestern, New York Life, Merrill Lynch, UBS. You kind of talk to somebody, they try to sell you something. I hated that, so I built a business that was all about education. when you talk about education, it's fantastic. You're trying to help people, and then the sale is just a consequence of relationship and empowerment, and you try to help somebody because education without implementation is worthless, right? You have to actually do something, buy an umbrella policy, do some car insurance, have a checking account and money market and all this stuff. It's fantastic. But then you try to market yourself. And there's the LinkedIn that came out, and then Facebook came out, and all this stuff. You know, I never did MySpace. Anybody? That was more for like Justin Bieber and people. Anybody know about regulations in wealth management? I couldn't have an endorsement, not even endorsement, on LinkedIn for somebody to say I'm a nice guy. Compliance would come to our office and be like, you got to take this off. You cannot tell your life story and how you did all this stuff. You got to take this stuff off. Anything that I ever wanted to say right, it had to go through a compliance department, and it would come back 30 days later with a whole bunch of red marks on it that pretty much say, I'm Danijel Velicki, how are you? And everything else was total crap. It was an impossible thing to do, just because as a younger person, you look at it and go, all these awesome people are talking about their services and their value proposition, their messaging, and are blasting it from the rooftops. And we help people, and we can't say anything. We have to be kept a secret. It was the hardest thing for me to understand, how to get our message out, but you can't say anything. But then, you know, the big players, you know, the blimp with MetLife and stuff, you know, we'll protect you, all that stuff. That's cool stuff to say, I guess. I guess they can do it. But when it comes to building a business, we had to figure out how to do it completely organically in rooms like this, on referrals, value, and telling people that, you know, not to keep us a secret. So let me tell you something cool that happened. I don't know if any of you know me, but I always lead with my heart. So I get introduced to a lot of people. This work is really my passion. And I got a call one day do you guys know the regulators in our industry? So FINRA, SEC, and then your company, whatever company you're dealing with, has another regulator inside of it where they look at everything that you're doing. So this is who we're dealing with on a daily basis. So every year you have to have a meeting with the compliance officer. You got to bring your files. You got to look at your website. They look at your social media. They look at anything that has anything to do with your name. They print it out, and then they highlight shit with red and tell you, hey, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't say this, you can't do that. I couldn't even have somebody, like I said, on LinkedIn say that I'm a nice guy and that I did a great job. They're like, you got to take that crap off. I'm like, how does that work? So the funny part, anybody see me on TV? Let me tell you how amazing this day was, and then how freaking horrible it was. So I had clients referred to that were high up at the or ABC 13 News. I forget what is it? Yeah, is it TKR? So I get a call. I don't know if you guys remember, about 4 years ago, the market dropped like 1,000 points in a day, which really, I mean, it was like this whole sell-off, and the whole automatic thing happened where just stocks were just selling off automatically because of a computer glitch. I think it was like 1,200 points in one day. I get a call that morning, and I was supposed to have a lunch with the compliance guy that day, and I say, hey, I got this call from the TV station. Now, mind you, there's like 3,000 freaking financial people in this area, right? I think there's more of them than realtors. But, so they call me out of all of Hampton Roads. I mean, if, you know, TV stations like, hey, you're awesome, we know you, we like how you talk, really. Can you please come on the TV today at 5 o'clock news? Holy shit. And before that, we're going to have you online answering questions as people are doing stuff. I'm like, this is fantastic. So I call the compliance guy, and I'm like, hey, listen, I got an amazing call from the news channel. They want me on just to say something for 10, 20 seconds segment about the market. I'm a licensed guy. I can talk about that stuff. Sure, no problem. I show up. I was made fun of that tie knot for like a year. It is a really thick tie. I try to make it smaller, but I think like that's what people remember. It was ridiculous. Still today, they're like, oh, the tie was awesome. Well, yeah. So no shit, guys. I was on air for about 20 seconds, And they said, hey, tell us about this market, what's going on. It's 1,100 points down. By that time at 5 o'clock, he was up by like, 400 or so. So for the day it was 700. And I said, listen, for those people that are in the market, you have to understand this is temporary. This too shall pass. Don't worry about it because it's a long play. You're not selling and buying stuff. The worst thing that you can do is obviously sell when it's down, so who cares? If you're in the market and you shouldn't be, if you're a 60, 65-year-old, you shouldn't be in the market, so this shouldn't be an issue anyway because you should have moved out. You should have had some protective strategies, so it's fine. It really doesn't matter. And then like 3 days later, of course, the market came back up. Everything was recovered just like I said. Those are honestly my words because I saw them printed. What do you think happened a week later? I got an email saying that they're reviewing my licenses to get suspended and a $10,000 fine because of that. The best day ever. And then a week later, I get this email and like douchebags looking like me coming to my office. Thankfully, the compliance officer was like, I didn't see a problem. I said, okay. He called me before. They wanted to give me a $2,500 fine, 6-month suspension. And I was like, this is total crap. Please review this, run it through compliance. What I said is nothing to do with advice or anything. I just said, you're stupid if you market, if it matters, and if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, so who cares? And finally, our regional guy went to fight. I had to get an attorney's letter sent to the compliance department. FINRA came, and they were like, okay, you're fine. Like, most ridiculous thing ever. I mean, if you guys know me, you probably really never saw any presence on Facebook or a lot of LinkedIn or any of that stuff because we just couldn't do anything. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. So what I figured out is like, forget all that stuff. We're going to go back to the traditional way of doing things. So this is what I built my business on. Referral network, old school stuff, out of the box. We don't have to just be social media and written and doing all that stuff. Existing clients, best way of referrals, obviously. Mortgage broker, for me, he talks to a lot of people. I want to talk to people that talk to a lot of people, and I can help his people. Attorney, CPA, networking events, print and media. I could have people contact me and to tell my story about being Croatian and goofy and all this stuff. And then also, oh, he owns Opus Wealth Strategies, by the way. I couldn't talk about what I do, but I could talk about who I am, which again is just a twist when it comes to marketing yourself. So I started positioning myself. I was top 40 on the 40, young professionals. I started CBDX, Young Professional Organization. I was on the board of CBDA and reworked their whole thing, working with the big boys. On every panel that I can get on through EO, podcasts, anything about me as like coming from Croatia, milking the shit out of that story. But I had to think, how can I take who I am, my passion, and what I stand for to the marketplace, but not talk about what I actually do? So you guys probably heard, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. I was building the who knows you part. And I tell people most of the time, if you don't know me, you probably heard of me. It's a Croatian sensation, like, it's Hampton Roads kind of thing. So I took it another step further, and I actually gave up my securities license because I couldn't do what I really wanted to do. I'm 42 years old now, and for those of us that are older, you start thinking about your life and what your passion really is. And my passion is completely teaching. So financial literacy has always been dear to my heart. I was tired of talking to people across me that are MIT scientists and Yale MDs and stuff and have no idea about anything financial because there's no education whatsoever in schools and MD programs and JD programs, nothing. So I built Squire, which launched 2 weeks ago. And it's an online educational platform. I built IFA. My passion is really to touch more people when it comes to financial literacy because everybody needs it. So I'll close with this. One of the big things that I always talk to people and teach, especially when it comes to messaging, and that's what you guys do. You always have to understand what your why is, what your what is, and what your how is. And when that translates into your why is your heart, your what is your brain, and how is your hands. Because when we talk to clients, no matter what the business is, we have to communicate clearly why we're doing what we're doing, because they are inspired and motivated by the passion that we bring to the table. Have you ever been told by somebody that you're sitting across, like, you're just so passionate about really learning about me and helping and figuring out how to help me? That's when you know you're doing what your heart tells you to do. Second thing is what you're doing. How many people have you asked what to do for a living? And they're like, stumble, they have no clue. I'm like, how are you going to do any work if you cannot clearly, concisely transfer your message that people go, oh, that's cool. And then how you do it. When you're sitting with a client, how are you going to solve their problem? Because so many people are in a situation of darkness. If they could figure out shit on their own, they wouldn't need us. So when we sit down with them, the problem that we have is it's very easy to sell an ignorant person that's not educated. But if you educate the client, how much easier and better of a client are they? 10 times easier to deal with, 10 times less churn, 10 times more referrals, and really great experience from the relationship. So if anything that I learned in my career, I am fantastic understanding my why, and I guide with that with all my heart. I am really clear about what I do and how I do it. So I don't care about the restrictions. As long as I do those 3 things, business was fantastic. Helpful? I would love to do questions, but I got to run. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully that was helpful.